Good morning, Southern California, AM 1220, KHTS. The host, Fred Arnold, on the Santa Clarita Valley Chamber of Commerce Business Spotlight. Joined by Jim Reape from Reape Rickett Law Firm.
Exactly.
Welcome back.
Thank you again.
Absolutely. You've been on my TV show. Now you're back on the radio video show.
There we go.
Yeah, you can watch
I must be a popular guy.
You are. HometownStation.com. You have a great newsletter, by the way. If you want to sign up for their newsletter, reach out.
Once a month, you can reach us at divorcedigest.com.
And the bummer thing about this is you got to reach out to Jim because unfortunately divorce happens. However, I know you're all about trying to make it as amicable as possible and as cordial, especially for the kids, huh?
Absolutely. You know, if it's going to happen, it's not divorce, it's dissolution, softer. And let's go softer yet. Let's call it a family in transition.
Yeah. Let's a couple questions I have for you.
Sure.
The marriage of Davis, what's it about?
Whoa,
the case?
Okay, so here's a case that involves the California Supreme Court interpreting a statute that has not changed from day one. So we're going back to the 1870s when California first enacted some civil code. And interestingly enough, the code section speaks of what constitutes separate property. And it basically goes along the lines that the earnings and accumulations of a married person after they live separate and apart from their spouse will now be separate property. So case law is developed in the lower courts, the appellate courts, to sort of define what does living separate and apart look like. And there had been a conflict between a number of the cases as to whether or not it actually required separate residences, separate households. Because I think most of the courts that are looking at it can see a marriage that is completely broken up. However, because of economic circumstances, the lack of a parenting plan related to the kids.
Which happened a lot since 08.
That, the spouses continue to reside under the same roof. So the California Supreme Court finally got this case to resolve a conflict between the lower courts, and it said, yes, the way that the statute is written, the way that it was intended by those who enacted the statute in the 1870s, that separation is going to require both a physical separation of separate residences coupled with a subjective intent that the marriage is over with an objective manifestations of it. So the way that that's impacted us in a very big way is that date, can be manipulated, and a lot of times the marriage is broken up without the establishing of separate residences. We had a case immediately where husband had moved out, wife was going to try to buy the residence, she was unable to do so. Husband then was going to move in to acquire the residence from wife, but wife was not yet situated outside of the house, so there was going to be a cohab again, and we had to construct a particular agreement for this to say that this convenience of cohabitating until wife could find another place to live was not going to reconstitute the marriage. And that's important because the date of separation, from that date forward, all earnings and accumulations are separate property. So you have a business, the growth of the business,
and that
your
makes
income,
sense.
your retirement account contributions.
Yeah, absolutely, especially when the spouse goes and gets a job and starts working on her or his or her career.
Exactly. The community comes to an end.
Yeah. I want to ask you about another statute on family law court when, say, there's spousal support and child support. Child turns out 18 years old, goes away to college. Now you have a changed circumstance. In some cases, the spouse can go and ask for additional spousal support, but it's not automatic. Tell me about that.
No, it's not automatic. And this statute basically addresses a case called Lot Spa that was from the 1990s, maybe early 2000s. And in that case, what happened is a child aged out, so the supported parent went back and saying, I'm losing all of this revenue in the form of the child support. I still have needs. I want to modify my spousal support. Well, the Lot Spa court said, well, wait a second. We could have predicted when your child was going to age out, and if the trial court wanted your spousal support to increase, they could have put it in the judgment or put it in the order to begin with. So that's the way that we went along for a number of years until somebody decided to pull on the ear of the California legislature and say, hey, wait a second, we need to change this. So now we have a statute that addresses it, that when a person is paying or receiving both child support and spousal support, when they stop receiving the child support, it may be a change of circumstance warranting an increase in the child support, in the spousal support.
But it's not automatic.
Absolutely
There's
not
a request,
automatic.
and then they look at the expenses of both parties. They look at everything else, correct?
They're gonna do it from top to bottom, current incomes, expectations. It's a whole new analysis of all of the factors that relate to spousal support.
Interesting. In 30 seconds or less, how do people come to an agreement? They really, is mediation the best? Getting attorneys together and sitting down?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you and your spouse have the ability to talk things out, the agreements that you reach are going to be golden. They're going to save you a terrible amount of money, stress, conflict. I mean, I settle a lot of cases in mediation, particularly when they come to like the kid issues. Do it for the kids.
Yep.
Give them that gift. It's Christmas time. Give them that gift. Stop fighting.
And the sooner you can come to an agreement, the sooner you can coexist at sporting events, kids' events.
Absolutely.
You know, because you're going to be tied to that person.
You need to end the conflict so the real healing process can begin.
Absolutely. Those, Jim, want to reach out to you?
661-288-1000 or divorcedigest.com.
And a great newsletter. Sign up for it if you're going through it, because why not go through it with professionalism and the best at heart?
Yeah, how about knowing like what the outcome's going to be?
Absolutely. Jim Reape from Reape Rickett Law Firm. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hope you enjoyed this edition of the Santa Clarita Valley Chamber of Commerce Business Spotlight. The show's Fred Arnold on AM 1220 KHTS.